Before there was the serene moonlight we know today, there was a force that prowled through the heavens, a devourer hidden behind silver light. Khonsu, the moon god, was more than a celestial ornament. He was the keeper and consumer of time itself. Ancient Egyptians watched his glow rise and fall, believing it marked the rhythm of existence. Yet beneath that calm surface was a power that measured, consumed, and shaped destiny. In a world governed by divine order, Khonsu's hunger stood out, relentless, patient, and inevitable. His story begins not with creation, but with consumption, a god whose light concealed an ancient appetite. This is the moon not as a passive observer, but as an active force, devouring the hours, shaping fate with every waxing and waning arc across the sky. As the sun dips beneath the horizon, the Nile shifts from gold to shadow. The land exhales, and silence spreads like ink. It is in this deepening darkness that Khonsu awakens. His pale light does not merely illuminate, it claims the night. Temples align with his ascent. Priests measure sacred hours by his glow, and distant travelers navigate by his path. The night becomes a mirror, reflecting human vulnerability beneath cosmic forces. In these moments, time slows, stretched thin beneath his silver gaze. This opening night sets the tone for everything to come. A celestial ruler emerging not to comfort, but to govern the unseen hours, to feed on time itself as civilizations unknowingly surrender their nights to him. Khonsu's origin is not whispered, it is proclaimed in the stars. Born in the divine household of Amun, he emerged as a radiant child, a spark torn from the brilliance of the sun to illuminate the night. His name meant the traveler, and even at his birth, the heavens made way for his journey. In the great temples of Karnak, he was worshipped as part of the Theban triad, standing alongside Mut and Amun, forming a celestial family that shaped destiny. But unlike his divine kin who ruled from fixed thrones, Khonsu's path was eternal motion. His light belonged not to one realm, but to the vast, shifting expanse of the sky. From the moment he appeared, he was both divine heir and wandering sentinel, destined to trace the hidden veins of time through the night. His birth was not the beginning of innocence. It was the introduction of a force that would govern the invisible currents beneath creation's surface. As darkness spread its wings, Khonsu rose to traverse the heavens. His journey was not a gentle drift, but a measured procession, a celestial hunt across the night. Ancient astronomer priests charted his movement with precision, knowing that each phase marked the shifting of tides, the sowing of crops, and the rise and fall of kingdoms. He became the great timekeeper, his glow etching divine order into the sky. Yet his wandering carried a subtle unease. To follow Khonsu's path was to follow a god who never rests. He circles endlessly, watching, counting, consuming the hours as offerings. The moon's cycle became a mirror for his relentless nature, waxing with power, waning with sacrifice, disappearing only to return with quiet inevitability. His celestial journey wasn't merely a spectacle, it was the heartbeat of cosmic time, pulsing through the darkness, unseen yet inescapable. Beneath Khonsu's pale gaze, life flourished. Farmers looked to his cycles to guide the flooding of the Nile. Priests synchronized rituals to his phases, and healers invoked his name when the boundary between sickness and recovery wavered. He was more than a god of light. He was the silent architect of all. He was the one whose movements structured existence. Temples portrayed him as a youthful figure, crowned with the lunar disk, holding the crook and flail, a ruler not of the day, but of sacred nights. His power was invoked to heal the sick and ward off evil, for the moon's glow was thought to cleanse and renew. Through Khonsu, fertility bloomed, time was measured, and the cosmic rhythm was maintained. Yet even as he brought life and structure, an older, more primal force coiled beneath that calm light. To understand Khonsu fully is to recognize that every healer can also harbor the power to consume. Behind the tranquil shimmer of the moon lies a darker appetite. Ancient myths whispered of Khonsu's hidden hunger, a force that moved unseen through the night. Unlike the sun, whose power blazed openly, Khonsu's strength was quiet and patient. He devoured not flesh, but time itself. Each night, as his light grew, he consumed the darkness, marking the passage of hours as offerings to his celestial will. Some tales paint him as a hunter among stars, stalking the sky and feeding on their light to sustain his glow. In this form, he was not merely a benevolent guide, he was a cosmic predator, veiled in silver. His hunger was not evil, but inevitable. To keep the world in motion, something had to feed on the ticking heart of eternity. In Khonsu, light and hunger coexisted, entwined in a lunar dance, both mesmerizing and unsettling. In the grand theater of the gods, power was rarely taken by force alone. It was often won through cunning. Khonsu, radiant and confident, once engaged in a cosmic gamble with Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing. The stakes were monumental, time itself. Thoth challenged Khonsu to a game of Senate, the sacred board game tied to destiny and divine intellect. As the pieces moved across the board, each throw of the dice carried celestial weight. Khonsu, certain of his brilliance, wagered fragments of his own light, believing victory inevitable. But Thoth's mind was sharper than any blade. One by one, Khonsu lost the game, and with each loss, he surrendered slivers of his lunar brilliance. Thoth gathered this borrowed light and forged 5 extra days, expanding the calendar beyond the god's original decree. In this moment, Khonsu's arrogance met divine wit. The god who governed time found himself outplayed, not by force, but by intellect. When the final piece fell, Khonsu's light fractured. His once complete lunar glow now waxed and waned, a celestial wound visible to all who gazed upon the night sky. The moon's phases, full, crescent, dark, are the eternal echo of that gamble. For the first time, Khonsu tasted loss, not as conquest, but as consequence. His power, once unwavering, became cyclical. His dominion over time, once absolute, was shared. The mirror of his identity split in two, the devourer and the diminished. From that day, the moon no longer commanded the night with seamless authority. It rose and fell in strength, carrying the memory of a wager that reshaped the cosmos. This was the shattering moment where the moon god, once untouchable, became a living reminder of divine vulnerability, his glow now bound to the ebb and flow of fate itself. Beneath the serene glow of the moon lay a darker, older face of Khonsu, one few dared to name aloud. In ancient inscriptions, he was sometimes depicted not as the gentle timekeeper, but as the blood drinker, a force that fed on the life essence of those who disrupted the sacred order. He did not hunt like a beast. His judgment was precise, divine, and final. The guilty were said to fall under his gaze, their hearts devoured in silence. This shadowed aspect was not born from malice, but from the necessity of cosmic balance. The healer who governed time also possessed the power to drain corruption from the world. To the devout, Khonsu's darker form was both terrifying and revered, a lunar executioner who moved unseen through the night, maintaining divine law through fear and awe. Yet even within the heart of darkness, transformation stirs. Khonsu's story is not one of endless hunger, but of evolution. After the lunar gamble and the revelation of his shadowed power, Khonsu shifted. He became a guardian of balance, no longer merely consuming time and blood, but protecting the fragile rhythm he once ruled through fear. His lunar cycles came to symbolize both destruction and renewal, the dark moon marking endings, the full moon heralding restoration. In temple rituals, he was invoked to heal and defend, a divine sentinel watching over travelers, kings, and commoners alike. His role expanded from predator to keeper, from devourer to protector of cosmic law. It was here, in this turning point, that Khonsu's myth mirrored the moon itself, once feared in its darkness, now trusted in its return. After the wager, after the shadowed revelations, Khonsu unconscious did not vanish. He adapted. His power, once constant, became contained within cycles, written into the very fabric of the night sky.
The waxing and waning moon wasn't a weakness, it was a living rhythm, a cosmic clock that all creation learned to follow.
His hunger remained, but it was no longer untamed. It was measured, bound by the phases that carried both his brilliance and his loss. Farmers sowed seeds by his growing light, priests calculated rituals by his phases, and lovers whispered beneath his steady return. Khonsu became the eternal traveler, circling through the heavens with a predictable unpredictability. His story was no longer about domination. It became a lesson in cosmic restraint, a reminder that even divine power must bow to rhythm and balance. And so, as another night falls over the Nile, the sky mirrors the beginning. The sun sinks, shadows stretch, and Khonsu rises once more, draping the land in his soft silver glow. The same celestial figure that once prowled the night with insatiable hunger, now watches with measured vigilance. Temples stand as silent witnesses to his endless return, their stones etched with cycles that repeat but never stagnate. The Nile reflects his face, rippling his image across dark waters, a god reborn in every phase, yet carrying the memory of his journey within that light. What began with hunger ends with harmony, as the night sky closes the loop it opened long ago. Khonsu's rise is both a return and a reminder. Power is eternal, but its shape is ever-changing. When Khonsu's tale is laid bare, it is not simply a myth of a moon god drifting across the sky. It is a cosmic revelation. His story embodies the intertwining of light and darkness, of power both wielded and relinquished. Through his wager with Thoth, Khonsu sacrificed part of himself to reshape time for mortals. Through his shadowed hunger, He balanced justice in the unseen realms. Through his cycles, he taught humanity to live in rhythm with forces greater than themselves. His myth is the story of how light can devour and heal, how power can fracture yet endure. In Khonsu, we see not a distant deity, but a reflection of the eternal dance between dominance and surrender, control and adaptation. His revelation is simple yet profound. Even gods must learn to share their light, to sustain the world. And so, the night sky closes its story exactly where it began, with Khonsu ascending, the silent traveler, his light spilling across the Nile like liquid silver. Lower, he is both devourer and healer, predator and protector, forever bound in a single celestial form. The mirror that opened with a hungry moon now reflects a guardian who has learned balance. His presence lingers not only in myth, but in every rising moon, every shifting tide, every quiet hour of the night when time itself seems to hold its breath. Khonsu is eternal, not because he never changed, but because he embraced change and wove it into his essence. As the moonlight spreads over the ancient land once more, his dual nature remains suspended in the heavens, a god who consumes time, heals wounds, and watches endlessly over a world that still moves to his rhythm.